Hey everybody, it is Just Ask Thursdays. That's right, every 9 p.m. on Thursday evenings, Pacific Standard Time, I'm talking to you about dating, giving you some actionable dating tips and answering any of your questions live on air. A little bit of housekeeping to get out of the way this week. Again, my name is Andrea Hill. I am the owner and host of jointhedinnerparty.com. The Dinner Party is an event that I host in and around Vancouver. I've also hosted events in Victoria, and very soon I am going to the Okanagan Valley in beautiful British Columbia, Canada, and we're hosting a series of dinners. So I host dinners every month to bring together singles who share mutual interests, age, demographic, values, family background, and bring them together over a fantastic meal at a local restaurant for everyone to be given the opportunity to connect while breaking bread, if you will. I'm your host for the evening. I'm your wing girl, if you will, and I'm there to make introductions and make sure conversation flows, but it is a comfortable, fun, easy, authentic way to connect with others without the pressures of first dates. Also, the joy of the dinner party is I pre-screen every guest, and based on the pre-screen and what I call a discovery session, where I spend approximately an hour with you, getting to know you better, family background, your passions, your career focus goals, as well as relationship history, and then what you're looking for in a partner and what you're not looking for. And based on that information is how I curate tables and bring people together that complement each other. You get to have a great night. No one's allowed to ask anyone out at the table because I follow up with everyone post-dinner to see if you clicked with someone and would like to see them again. And then I find out if the feeling is mutual. And from there, I then connect the two of you and you can go on to happily date. So no pressure, no rejection, no awkwardness, just a great group of people that have lots of commonalities getting together over a wonderful meal. So I'm in the Okanagan for the month of July. If you're seeing this and you're located in that area, reach out to me at info@jointhedinnerparty.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, which is The Dinner Party Vancouver, to see all details. Great article this last weekend in the Kelowna Courier as well as the Penticton Herald featuring the dinner and the work that I do. So that was fantastic. And we have a couple other pieces coming up and out in Vancouver in the very near future. Any kind of press or more details on the events, coaching, or workshops that I do, you can find on the Facebook page as well as the website at jointhedinnerparty.com. So enough with all that stuff. We're gonna dig into the goodness of the topic of conversation tonight, and that is communication. Communication and how to communicate to get a date. It has been a wild week with getting feedback from friends as well as clients, and it seems like the issue in this past week for most people has been a challenge with communication. And as we know in other areas of our life, if we're not communicating clearly and effectively, that it's very easy for things to get lost in the cracks, if you will. And through that, there can have the unfortunate circumstance of people making assumptions, hurt feelings coming about, and just not being on the same page. And in dating, it's good to be on the same page because that's how you can smoothly and really jointly move forward into the potential of a meaningful relationship. So let's get into some details. Had a situation where I have someone navigating their way through Tinder right now and looking for some constructive feedback, communicating with a couple of guys on there. And it was a bit of night and day with regards to how some were communicating and others were not. And the biggest one being, guys, you got to, and women too, and I've touched on this before, you really want to make sure that you're taking the time to be curious and asking questions on a deeper level in order to find the connection that you could potentially have with this person to help build and foster a relationship with. And when you're doing something quick and dirty like you are on Tinder with the swiping of the left and the right, we get a little caught up in our headspace and just looking at aesthetics, maybe not even scrolling down to read profiles. And, you know, pictures are worth, you know, so much because we can make such snap judgments about people. So you, in that sort of little tiny forum, want to make sure that you're asking the really important questions, or the questions rather, let me say, that are important to you in order to connect with that person. So this particular situation, we had someone that was doing sort of the witty repartee back and forth. It really was just surface level stuff, a lot of texting flirtation, if you will, and was going okay, and then sort of out of left field, a body shot was sent. Now, tame enough, it was just a torso, but it's still half of your body nakedness that you're sending to someone that you have not established a relationship with. It was not even within context. It was not asked for. And it sent a really clear message that you were really interested in something of a sexual nature, which in this particular situation had already been clarified through text as to why each person was on Tinder, and it was stated that it was for a relationship. So a body shot of your torso does not make a relationship. It's upon establishing a bond with the other person and having a foundation, especially for women, in trust and them feeling safe, and that it's not just about the sex, which is important too, but you got to know that person before you're revealing parts of yourself, if you will. So when told that that was not something that she was interested in this early in the game, and that it was moving things a bit too quickly and seemed to be of a sexual nature and direction, she said that she thought he was great, but that, you know, he might have to slow down a little because she's not at the same pace as him. And unfortunately, he didn't handle that very well, and said that she was making assumptions, and that he then did a bit of wordplay and was disrespectful, didn't honor what kind of effective feedback that she was giving to him, and that was the end of that. So no union was made, no phone call, no meeting in person, because his communication was not respectful. He wasn't listening through text as to what was being shared with him in regards to what that person was comfortable with. And that was the end of that. It didn't go any further. So that was a perfect example of how not to communicate to get a date. Now, on the other hand, both myself online in the past and as well, I've had some great stories from people that have utilized online dating or Tinder, where someone's really taken the time and asked the questions to make that deeper connection. You know, where are you from? Tell me about your family. What are you passionate about? Asking the questions to see if there's some sort of, you know, alignment that the two of you can click on. And then once you do, you're off to the races. And after a little bit of going back and forth, please remember, this has come up too. Texting is a conversation. And if for some reason, because that person's not right in front of you and you need to leave the conversation, then you need to state as such in your text message. You know what, this has been really fun. I'd love to chat with you again soon. Maybe we can talk on the phone in the near future, but I've got to run, I've got to go to work, I've got an errand, whatever, I got to get in the shower. I mean, whatever the issue may be, while you're having to step away, sign off. Don't just go MIA and then pick up the conversation again or attempt to 2 days later. It's the equivalent of sitting across the table from someone and just like getting up and walking away, which would be really odd and incredibly rude. And the equivalent is doing that via text. Texting really is for initial sort of back and forth. It's a safe way to do that, but the sooner you can get on the phone, the better. But if you're really wanting to have a deeper based conversation, it's best to get on the telephone. Another story is someone sharing with me, having a little back and forward. They thought they were being funny. That sense of humor got lost in text, and that was the end of that communication as well. There really was no coming back from it. When things go awry and someone's feelings get hurt or they become suspect of maybe what your intentions are, you've lost them. That's it. It's over. And it's a shame if that isn't what your intention was. So just save yourself, provide some space and grace by having a little back and forth and then getting on the phone and then meeting in person. But like I touched on last week, you want to qualify your guest. So do have a little bit of messaging. If you can, get on email so it's a little easier to tell a story or create a body of information that you're getting your message across, and then move to a telephone right away. Because when you don't have facial expression, body language, tone, you lose so much, and an emoticon's just not going to cut it. So I feel like I've kind of beaten that to death, but really important because it came up a lot this week. Another thing that came up with regards to communication was just because you are having an experience while dating or in a relationship, it doesn't mean that the other person that you are dating or in a relationship with is having that same experience. So if you're frustrated or challenged with anything that's happening in your interaction, it's always best to bring about your own clarity, or if you feel like you're not receiving something that you need in order to feel seen, heard, and appreciated in your interaction on the date or post-date or in a relationship, it is solely your responsibility to ask for what it is that you need. If you're feeling uncertain, then you need to get clarity. And the only way to do that is by having an effective conversation. It's always best to do that from not an emotional place, because if you've been packing around whatever your concern or issue is, it can come out and feel more like an attack as opposed to an attempt at getting clarity. And you could be frustrated and the other person is having their needs met and they're oblivious to you having concerns or issues with what's going on. So you need to get clarity and ask for what it is that you need. And when I brought that up recently with a client of mine, her response was, but that feels needy. And I'm not comfortable with it when I asked her and dug a little deeper as to why she perceived that as being needy, because she saw vulnerability as being a weakness. And I'm going to tell you right now, vulnerability is not a weakness. It is one of the bravest things that you can do while dating and in a relationship. It's exposing yourself and sharing how you're feeling and asking for what it is that you need from that other person, again, to be seen and heard. And you need to question, if you're in a relationship or you're dating someone and there's a level of uncertainty or you're not receiving what it is that you want, why would you stay? Why is it such a risk to ask the question with the fear of possible rejection if the answer to your request for what it is that you need is denied or disrespected or just plainly not heard or blown off? Is that a relationship or someone you want to continue dating? So I think it's a great way to go in and find out exactly where it is that you stand, practice using your voice, being comfortable in what it is that you want in that circumstance, or what you want in a relationship, or what you want while you're dating. And they can either rise up and provide what it is that you're needing, or they can't. And why not find early on, as opposed to going along and it becoming something that you end up resenting? So sorry, I'm going to look down for a second here, guys. I've got someone that's sending in questions, so I want to be able to answer those before my half hour is up. Excuse me while I take a quick sip of water. Let's see what's going on the phone. So we got people tweeting, which is fantastic. You can tweet at me live during the show at Join the DP, or always remember during the week you can get your questions in early at info@jointhedinnerparty.com, and I'll make sure that I'm answering those questions for you. So the question I'm getting is, do I have to explain what they've done totally to turn me off, or can I just stop responding? Well, I'm going to answer that question with a question back. If someone's done something that has rubbed you the wrong way and it's just a cease and desist in connection or getting to a date, would you want someone to tell you? That's my response back. And I know for myself, and I think most people out there, because a lot of the time I'll get questions is, I don't understand. I thought it went well and then I just never heard from them again. And a lot of the time people are giving false affirmations. How many times have you been on a date and someone's said to you at the end, thanks so much, I had such a great time. It was such a pleasure meeting you. And then you're in the date and you're thinking, oh, this person's great, I'm really enjoying this. They're laughing at your jokes and smiling. They look like they're having a great time. And then you never hear from them again. You might follow up with a phone call or a date the next day, which is, by the way, very courteous and great thing to do if you want to continue to foster a connection with someone. But when you get zero response, well, that's just plain rude. I mean, humanity in dating, don't let it die. It's part of why I started my company, was to bring humanity back to dating. It's all too often that people are just blowing others off, or lots of flaky behavior. You wouldn't just, again, like I said earlier with the text messaging, if you were standing in front of that person and they were sharing how they were feeling, would you just turn and walk away or stand there blankly staring at them? I think it's such a beautiful thing to, after a date, sit with it, evaluate what was great, what wasn't, and think about how you felt in the situation, or if it was someone communicating with you, how was that making you feel inside? And then make a decision from that place, and then communicate it to the other person. And it doesn't need to be rude. People get so frightened about letting another person know that it just wasn't a good fit. It's not a personal thing. It's personal to you, but it's not personal against them. And really, it's the most respectful thing in letting that person know, so that they're not wasting any heart space or emotional energy on someone that's not interested in them. And it can be done with kindness. I just had someone that went on a date. She knew, a good portion of the way in that it just wasn't a good click for her. She was graceful and kind throughout the rest of the date. said thank you at the end of the evening, but she had decided by the next morning that it wasn't someone that she wanted to continue investing in. And she asked, can I just text and say thanks, but it was a good fit? Well, that's better than nothing in answer to this question. Not responding, as far as I'm concerned, is not an option, because you wouldn't want someone to disappear on you. But if you've gone on a lengthy date, you pick up the phone. And it can be something just so simple as this. Hi, Bob, it's Andrea calling. I just wanted to follow up and say thanks so much again for dinner last night. I had a really enjoyable time. It was great talk and conversation. I think you're a great guy. But upon reflection, I just wanted to let you know that I just don't think it's a really good click for me. And you might feel the same way, but I thought it best that I phone you and let you know up front. You know, I wish you all the best, and leave it at that. It's just straightforward and simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to hum and haw or ah, or, you know, don't assume that the other person's going to take it the wrong way. Come in with the energy of kindness and respect, and that's exactly how it's going to be delivered. Short, sweet, kind, and then continue to rock on. If you get in a situation where they're like, why, and everything else, it just has to simply be that it just wasn't a good click or a matter of chemistry with that individual. It does not need to get long and drawn out, discussed, or put under a microscope. That's the end of it, and that's when you wish them the best. It's very simple. So I'm going to leave you guys there. Again, little housekeeping that I did at the beginning of the day, or of the show rather, is that I'm in the Okanagan for the month of July. So if you or anyone you know is wanting to attend a dinner party, I'm going to be there in the Okanagan, as far up as Kelowna down to Osoyoos, putting together lovely dinners to help connect wonderful people over a beautiful meal. I also, on June 28th, have a great workshop coming up. It's a dating wellness workshop. It's my first, and I'm excited in launching those throughout the upcoming years to help people be in a better place in order to date and be in relationships successfully and in a meaningful way. So all that information you can find on jointhedinnerparty.com or on the Facebook page, The Dinner Party Vancouver. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week for another session of Just Ask. I'm Andrea Hill, and signing off for the evening. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.